Do you believe your thoughts hold the power to shape your destiny? This question is not philosophy alone. It is the foundation of every empire built, every fortune created, every life transformed from obscurity to greatness. Napoleon Hill declared it with clarity: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Yet most men never test this truth. They drift. They wait. They excuse. They allow years, the most valuable substance of existence, to slip through their fingers like dust. You know this drift. You feel it. It whispers that tomorrow is safer than today, that delay is wise, that preparation without action is virtue. But beneath its soft voice lies a brutal fact: each year you postpone your definite purpose is a year buried beyond recovery. The men who rise in their 30s and 40s do not rise by accident. They rise because they decide, while others hesitate. They rise because they seize thought and mold it into destiny, while others surrender thought to fear, to habit, to chance. Look around you. How many men do you know who work hard, who are talented, yet remain stuck year after year in the same small circle? They are not lazy. They are not ignorant. They are prisoners of their own thinking. They have accepted limits written not by reality but by fear. They have mistaken the mask of prudence for wisdom, and under that mask their best decades slip away. Napoleon Hill studied thousands of men. He uncovered a pattern so clear it cannot be denied: those who failed did not fail because of weakness of body or lack of opportunity. They failed because their thoughts were scattered, their faith absent, their purpose undefined. But those who succeeded, those crowned by fortune, shared one habit above all: they guarded their thoughts with ferocity, they believed with intensity, and they acted with persistence. Their minds became magnets, drawing to them the people, the ideas, and the opportunities that others never even noticed. Think of Abraham Lincoln. In his 20s he was unknown, mocked, defeated in election after election. Yet by his 40s, he stood as the man chosen to preserve a nation. What changed? Not his birth, not his environment, but the definiteness of his thought and his refusal to surrender. He trained his mind to believe in a vision larger than his own pain. His faith and purpose outweighed the failures that would have broken lesser men. Consider Andrew Carnegie. Born in poverty, forced to labor as a child, he had no reason to expect greatness. Yet he filled his mind with thoughts of steel, enterprise, and empire. While thousands of other workers accepted wages as the ceiling of life, Carnegie saw wages as temporary, as the platform from which his imagination would climb. His thought became wealth long before his hands touched it. And wealth followed thought as surely as day follows night. Now contrast them with the thousands forgotten. Men who delayed their purpose waiting for safety. Men who excused their hesitation as caution. Men who busied themselves with small tasks while destiny slipped by. They are not remembered for their effort, though they labored long. They are remembered, if at all, only as examples of wasted potential. Here is the brutal truth: your thoughts are never neutral. They are either shaping your destiny or sabotaging it. Each day you allow fear, doubt, or drift to command your mind, you dig trenches that become chains. By 50 those chains are locked. By 60 they are unbreakable. But each day you discipline thought with faith and decision, you forge keys that open gates to fortune. The first costly mistake is this: confusing fear with wisdom. You call hesitation prudence. You congratulate yourself for waiting, for avoiding risk, for gathering endless proof. But prudence without definite purpose is nothing but fear in disguise. It is the thief that robs men silently, stealing not with violence but with delay. You know the fears well. Fear of poverty whispers, do not risk. You may lose what little you have. Fear of criticism hisses, what will they think if you fail? Fear of failure itself pleads, better to wait until conditions are perfect. And so men wait. They wait while opportunity passes. They wait while time slips. They wait until their prime is gone, until the fire in their chest has cooled, until their hands are too tired to grasp what once lay within reach. Mark this truth: hesitation costs more than error. A wrong decision can be corrected. No decision cannot. A wrong step can teach. No step enslaves. The timid man believes he is avoiding loss. In reality, he is losing the one resource never restored: time. Contrast this with Henry Ford. When he declared he would build a car for the multitude, financiers laughed, experts denounced him, scholars declared it impossible. Had Ford obeyed prudence, he would have waited, delayed, gathered more proofs. But he decided. He acted. He persisted. And his aura of decision compelled men to believe even before they understood. His fortune crowned him, while the cautious men who mocked him remained forgotten. So here is your choice: you can flatter fear by calling it wisdom, or you can call fear by its true name and destroy it with decision. Do not imagine that you can hide hesitation. Men feel it before you speak. Opportunity flees from it. Infinite intelligence itself responds more swiftly to decisive faith than to timid prudence. Now it is time for your oath. Speak it with conviction, speak it until it engraves itself into your soul. I do not confuse fear with wisdom. My decisions are law. Fortune obeys my purpose. I act upon my definite desire now. Say it again. Louder. With fire. Let your subconscious hear it as command. For the man who decides radiates authority. The man who delays radiates weakness. Which one are you? The second mistake that ruins men during their decisive decades is the chains of wages. These chains are invisible, yet they bind tighter than iron. A man believes himself free because he receives his pay on time. He rises early, labors long, returns weary, and convinces himself he is diligent. But in truth he has sold his life cheaply. He has exchanged his prime years for survival alone. You know this pattern. You may have felt it yourself. The comfort of a steady wage whispers that you are safe. It tells you that as long as you collect your check, you are secure. But this is the cruelest illusion. For wages alone never create wealth. Wages maintain existence. They keep the body alive, but they starve the spirit of ambition. Napoleon Hill warned against this bondage. He wrote that the world pays in proportion to service rendered. The man who calculates narrowly, giving only what he is paid for, radiates distrust. His aura whispers to the world, I am small, I am limited, I cannot be trusted with abundance. And the law of life answers by keeping him small indeed. Look at the thousands of men who labor faithfully for decades yet remain in the same station. They excuse their stagnation by saying, my master never gave me a chance. But the truth is they never gave themselves the chance. They withheld their best effort until they were promoted, not realizing that promotion never comes to the man who withholds. They demanded more pay before giving more service, not knowing that the law is always reversed: more service must precede more pay. Contrast them with Charles M. Schwab. He began not as president of an empire, but as a common worker in the steel mills. Did he calculate his strokes of labor against each coin he received? No. He poured into his tasks more thought, more eagerness, more energy than his wage demanded. He gave his imagination freely, his enthusiasm fully, his solutions generously. And Carnegie felt this radiance. He saw in Schwab a man who sowed more than he was paid for. That aura lifted Schwab from the mill floor to the presidency of a steel empire. This is the law you must engrave upon your soul: the employer may fail you, but the law of increase never does. When you sow in excess, you reap in abundance, though the field may change. When you give more than you are paid for, the universe itself conspires to crown you. But when you withhold, you cheat not your master but yourself. You dim your aura, you weaken trust, you forfeit opportunity. Think of Henry Ford again. Before the world crowned him, he labored long nights on engines that paid him nothing. He experimented, he failed, he persisted, pouring sweat and imagination into work no one demanded of him. Those hours were not wasted. They built his aura, attracted capital, compelled others to believe. Had Ford waited for wages before giving his best, his dream would have died in obscurity. The poverty mindset says, why should I labor more for another's profit? Why should I give more than I am paid for? But this mindset is blindness. It sees only the hand of the employer, not the greater law that governs all life. The man who calculates narrowly will always remain narrow. The man who gives abundantly will always be lifted to abundance. And this law governs more than money. The husband who gives only the bare minimum of love and kindness finds his home grows cold. The friend who calculates every favor soon finds himself alone. The citizen who contributes only what he is compelled to pays in the coin of mediocrity. But the man who gives more than asked in love, in friendship, in service radiates abundance that attracts loyalty, trust, and opportunity in every realm of life. So the chains of wages are not around your wrists. They are around your mind. They whisper that survival is enough, that bare minimum is safe, that you should not risk giving more. But survival is not destiny. Survival is not freedom. Survival is the lowest state a man of purpose should ever accept. The antidote is this: give more service than you are paid for, without resentment, without calculation, without waiting for permission. Make excess service your habit, and abundance will chase you. If one master does not reward you, another will. If one field does not return your harvest, another field will open. The law cannot be cheated, and it cannot be denied. Now speak this oath: I prove my worth before I am paid. I sow more than I reap, and my harvest multiplies. I labor not for wages alone, but for the destiny I build. Say it until it carves itself into your instinct. Repeat it until every act you perform carries more energy than required, more thought than demanded, more faith than measured. For the man who gives more is the man the world trusts with more. At 50, the man who served only wages will look back upon decades of labor with nothing to show but survival. At 50, the man who served with excess will carry fortune, influence, and honor. Which one will you be? The answer is written in today's habits, not tomorrow's hopes. So break the chains. Refuse the prison of wages. Serve your purpose, serve with abundance, and let fortune prove itself faithful. The third mistake that ruins men in their decisive decades is the tyranny of busyness. This prison is not built of stone or guarded by iron. Its walls are schedules, its gates are endless tasks, and its chains are the illusion of progress. The man enslaved by busyness believes himself important because he is always in motion. Yet when the years are counted, he discovers he has advanced nowhere. You have seen this man. Perhaps you have been this man. He rises early, rushes from errand to errand, fills his hours with calls, duties, messages, and meetings. At the end of the day he collapses exhausted, but when asked what he has built, he has nothing to show but fatigue. His aura radiates strain, not direction. His life is a wheel spinning furiously, yet fixed to the same post. The poverty mindset glorifies busyness. It says, if I am busy, I am productive. If I am exhausted, I must be advancing. But this is a lie. Fatigue is not the measure of progress. Motion is not the measure of destiny. Men do not rise because they work hardest. They rise because they work with definiteness of purpose. Napoleon Hill declared definiteness of purpose the first principle of success. Without it, all effort scatters like arrows loosed without a target. With it, every act, every word, every hour bends toward a supreme aim. This is why history remembers Lincoln, Carnegie, Edison, and Ford. They endured defeats, setbacks, ridicule, but each act, each step, was tied to their definite chief aim. Their defeats became preparation, their persistence became victory. Consider Abraham Lincoln. He lost election after election. He was scorned, opposed, and weary. Yet every speech he gave, every campaign he ran, every debate he endured bent toward one purpose: the preservation of the Union and the end of slavery. His opponents were busy men, scattering their energy on small aims, but Lincoln's aura of definiteness grew brighter until destiny itself crowned him. Now contrast him with the countless politicians of his age who filled their days with speeches, errands, appearances, but had no clear vision. They were busy, but their busyness scattered them into obscurity. Lincoln's defeats prepared him. Their busyness buried them. Think also of the merchant who fills his store with endless stock, shuffles papers late into the night, answers every demand, yet never asks, "What is my definite aim? Where do I want this labor to lead?" Each year he grows older, more tired, no richer in fortune, no closer to destiny. His tyranny is not poverty but purposeless busyness. The antidote is clarity. You must define your definite chief aim and measure every act against it. If an action advances you, pursue it with persistence. If it does not, cast it aside without apology. For the subconscious mind responds to definiteness, infinite intelligence aligns with definiteness, and men trust the aura of definiteness. But the fog of busyness repels all three. Mark this: hours are not wealth. Direction is wealth. The man who spends 10 hours in confused busyness is poorer than the man who spends 1 hour in decisive action. The first builds fatigue, the second builds fortune. The poverty mindset will resist this truth. It will say, I am too busy to plan, too busy to think, too busy to define my aim. But this is the confession of slavery to motion. The wealth mindset answers, I am never too busy to align my actions with destiny. Look again at Henry Ford. He was not busier than other mechanics of his age. They too labored long hours, repaired machines, served customers. But Ford's every hour bent toward one aim, building a car for the multitude. His definiteness gathered force until investors, workers, and the world itself bent to his vision. The others remained busy. Ford became master. Now ask yourself, are you proud of your busyness, or of your direction? Do you count your value in hours worked or in progress made? The world does not reward the man who labors endlessly without aim. It crowns the man whose aim bends every labor into destiny. So here is the law: reduce every act to its relation to your definite aim. If it advances you, give it your full energy. If it does not, eliminate it. This habit will transform your decades. Your aura will grow clear, your energy concentrated, your progress visible. Men will feel your direction and hasten to aid you. Now speak this oath: I measure by advancement, not hours. Every act bends me closer to my definite aim. Say it until you can no longer mistake fatigue for fortune, until you reject busyness as slavery, until you feel the clarity of purpose as strength in your chest. At 50, the man of busyness will have nothing to show but exhaustion. At 50, the man of definiteness will carry authority, respect, and fortune. Which one will you be? The answer lies not in tomorrow's hope but in today's clarity. So break the tyranny. Refuse the chains of endless tasks. Define your aim. Measure your progress by direction, not by fatigue. This is the law that separates the forgotten from the crowned. The fourth mistake that ruins men in their prime is the fire that consumes. Every man carries fire within him. It burns as passion, ambition, anger, desire, imagination, frustration, and love. In your 30s and 40s this fire is strongest. It can build empires or it can leave nothing but ashes. The tragedy is that most men let this fire consume them rather than command it. The poverty mindset believes fire is proof of life. It says, if I feel desire, if I chase pleasure, if I release my anger, I am alive. But this is the illusion of fire ungoverned. A fire that is not directed does not build. It destroys. The man who indulges every appetite, who spends his passion on quarrels, who wastes his imagination on envy, who burns his energy in distractions believes himself vibrant. Yet by 50 he is empty. His fire has consumed him. Napoleon Hill revealed the law of transmutation, the channeling of raw emotion into constructive creation. He declared that uncontrolled desire leads to ruin, but directed desire builds fortune. The man who learns to transmute passion into labor, frustration into persistence, anger into resolve, love into devotion, ambition into vision, this man glows with radiance. His aura blazes with power. Men feel his presence. Opportunity hastens toward him. Consider Thomas Edison. His passion was not weak, it was fierce. He worked endless nights, endured thousands of failures, suffered ridicule and doubt. His fire burned hotter than most men could endure. Yet he did not squander it on dissipation or idle pleasure. He transmuted it into invention. Each failure that might have consumed another man became fuel for his next attempt. His fire did not destroy him. It destroyed obstacles. It lit the path of progress not only for himself but for the world. Look at Abraham Lincoln. His life was filled with sorrow, defeat, and grief. He lost elections, he lost companions, he bore the burden of a divided nation. His fire might have consumed him in despair. Yet he transmuted grief into endurance, sorrow into compassion, frustration into persistence. His aura became so steady and luminous that a weary people trusted him through their darkest hours. His fire did not burn him down. It became the light of a nation. Or reflect on Booker T. Washington. Born in bondage, surrounded by limitation, opposed by prejudice, he might have spent his fire in bitterness, resentment, and complaint. But he chose the law of transmutation. He directed his passion into education, leadership, and vision. His aura carried such purpose that men who might have opposed him were compelled to assist him. His fire lit the path for thousands. Now contrast these giants with the countless men whose fire consumes them. You have seen them. The man whose ambition melts into envy, always comparing himself to others but never building his own. The man whose desire for pleasure leaks his strength through indulgence, until his prime years are wasted. The man whose anger explodes in quarrels, burning bridges, destroying trust, leaving him isolated. They are consumed by their own fire. They feel alive for a moment, but by middle age they stand in ruins. Mark this law: you cannot kill passion. To attempt suppression is to kill vitality itself. The answer is not suppression but direction. The fire within you must be commanded, not denied. If you do not direct it, it will direct you. If you do not master it, it will master you. The antidote is to ask, each time fire rises within you, how may this be transmuted into force for my purpose? If love, let it become devotion that builds a family and inspires achievement. If ambition, let it become knights of labor that build enterprise. If anger, let it become resolve that corrects injustice. If frustration, let it become persistence that conquers obstacles. In this way every emotion becomes a servant instead of a master. So say this oath: I turn fire into force. My emotions serve my purpose, not my weakness. Speak it until you feel the fire within bow to your decision. Repeat it until anger feels like fuel, until desire feels like energy, until frustration feels like strength. For the man who decides commands even his strongest desires. The man who drifts is a slave to them. At 50, the man who indulges every impulse will be empty. At 50, the man who transmutes every passion into progress will be full of power. Which will you be? The choice lies not in your birth, not in your environment, but in how you command your fire today. Do not waste your decades in indulgence. Do not squander your fire on appetites that leave only ashes. Discipline your flame. Transmute it into vision, creation, and destiny. The man without fire is dead wood. The man consumed by fire is ash. But the man who commands fire is a torch that lights the world. The fifth mistake that ruins men in their prime is the illusion of standing alone, the fate of the lone candle. A candle burns bright for a moment, but when the storm comes it flickers and dies. The man who insists on walking alone may shine briefly, but without harmony, without allies, without the mastermind principle, he soon discovers that his light cannot last against the winds of life. The poverty mindset says, I need no one. I am sufficient by myself. Dependence is weakness, and asking for help is shame. It believes pride is power, but in truth pride is isolation, and isolation is weakness. The man who refuses counsel, who resists collaboration, who hides his struggles in silence, finds his flame shrinking year after year until it fades into obscurity. Napoleon Hill identified the mastermind principle as one of the great laws of success. He observed that no man rises alone. Behind every fortune, every enterprise, every victory, there was always a harmony of minds. Two or more, united in a spirit of definite purpose, generate a power greater than the sum of their parts. This power multiplies ideas, courage, and opportunity. Without it, a man exhausts himself. With it, he commands destiny. Look at Andrew Carnegie, crowned as the King of Steel. When asked what was the secret of his fortune, he pointed not to iron or coal, but to his ability to surround himself with men more talented than himself. He confessed openly that his success was not his own but the result of his mastermind alliance. His aura of humility and collaboration allowed him to command vast enterprises without being consumed by them. Consider Henry Ford. He too mastered the power of alliance. He surrounded himself with mechanics, engineers, financiers, and visionaries. He did not attempt to be everything himself. He allowed others to contribute their fire, and the harmony of minds built an empire. Had Ford insisted on remaining a lone candle, his ideas would have burned out long before they reshaped the world. Contrast them with the forgotten men who insisted on doing everything alone. They feared sharing ideas. They guarded their vision with suspicion. They saw allies as rivals, counsel as interference, collaboration as weakness. Their candles flickered in pride for a time, but storms always come. Competition crushed them, fatigue consumed them, and isolation left them powerless. The law is this: harmony multiplies force. A single candle may light a room, but 1,000 candles together illuminate a city. When you unite your mind with others of vision, the very air vibrates with energy. Ideas spark, courage grows, obstacles shrink. The world itself seems to hasten to aid those who are united in definite purpose. But mark this warning: the alliance must be harmonious. Discord multiplies weakness as surely as harmony multiplies strength. Choose your allies with care. Select those whose aims align with yours, whose energy uplifts, whose character commands respect. For the wrong alliance drains more than no alliance at all. Napoleon Hill warned that a mastermind without harmony is not a mastermind but a liability. The antidote is deliberate connection. Seek out men and women whose vision resonates with yours. Offer your service, your loyalty, your ideas generously. Build trust. Unite in spirit. Meet regularly. Plan together. Pray together. Work together. In this way you are never alone. Your candle merges with others until you become a blazing torch that no storm can extinguish. Now speak this oath: I unite in harmony with chosen allies. My strength multiplies, my vision expands, my destiny advances. Say it until your pride bends to it, until you feel the power of alliance pulling you higher. Repeat it until the thought of isolation feels small, unnatural, unworthy of your destiny. At 50, the man who insisted on walking alone will find himself weary, forgotten, and spent. At 50, the man who built alliances of harmony will find himself surrounded by power, trust, and fortune. The first candle flickers into nothing. The second becomes a beacon. So do not insist on standing alone. Do not cling to pride that isolates. Seek harmony. Build your mastermind. Unite your fire with others until you blaze so brightly that destiny cannot ignore you. The sixth mistake that ruins men in their decisive decades is the habit of surrender. This is not the noble surrender of strategy, nor the wise surrender of pride. It is the quiet, corrosive habit of giving up whenever obstacles appear, whenever defeat knocks, whenever progress demands more endurance than comfort allows. You have seen this in others. Perhaps you have felt it yourself. A man begins with fire. He launches a project, declares a goal, sets a vision. But when difficulties rise, his fire dims. The first failure convinces him it was not meant to be. The first criticism convinces him he is not capable. The first setback whispers, "Try something easier." And so he abandons his vision, seeking a safer road, convincing himself he is wise. Yet all he has done is surrender his destiny. The poverty mindset thrives on this habit. It says, better to quit early than to waste time. Better to adjust your aim than to persist through pain. Better to choose the certain small than to risk the uncertain great. It cloaks surrender in the robe of reason. But underneath lies fear, weakness, and wasted potential. Napoleon Hill declared persistence the iron quality of success. He observed that no man has ever risen without enduring temporary defeat. Every great fortune was preceded by setbacks. Every empire was forged in the furnace of failure. But the men who triumphed were those who persisted when others surrendered. Persistence converts defeat into preparation, transforms criticism into fuel, and turns delay into eventual victory. Look at Thomas Edison. He is remembered for his triumphs, but behind each triumph stood thousands of failures. The light bulb alone took more than 1,000 failed experiments. A lesser man would have surrendered after 10. Another after 100. Most after 500. But Edison persisted. He refused surrender. Each failure was not an end but a step. His aura radiated such relentless persistence that even when the world doubted, he compelled belief. Consider Abraham Lincoln. His life was marked by repeated defeat, loss in business, loss in elections, loss in personal life. Yet he persisted. Each defeat carved endurance into his soul until he became the one man capable of carrying a nation through its darkest trial. Had Lincoln surrendered, his name would be a footnote. Because he persisted, his name is eternal. Contrast them with the countless men who surrendered. Men who began projects, dreams, businesses, visions, only to abandon them at the first storm. Their names are forgotten because surrender buries destiny. They excused themselves, saying, "It was not the right time. I lacked resources. I faced opposition." Yet the truth is that no time is perfect, no man has all resources, and opposition is certain. Their failure was not in their conditions but in their surrender. Mark this law: temporary defeat is not permanent failure. The only permanent failure is surrender. Fortune often delays its crown to test your persistence. If you surrender, you prove yourself unworthy. If you persist, you prove yourself inevitable. The antidote is to train persistence as a habit stronger than surrender. Expect obstacles. Anticipate delays. Welcome criticism. Each time you are struck down, rise again with greater resolve. Decide in advance that you will persist until victory is won. This decision will carry you through storms when your emotions falter. Napoleon Hill told the story of R. Darby, who quit digging for gold just 3 feet from the richest vein he would ever encounter. Another man picked up where he left off and struck fortune. Darby learned from this that persistence is not optional. He later became a great success in life insurance by adopting persistence as his code. This lesson is yours as well: do not stop 3 feet short of your fortune. Now speak this oath: I persist until victory is won. Delay cannot break me. Criticism cannot weaken me. Defeat cannot define me. Say it until your heart beats with it, until your subconscious accepts it, until your aura radiates persistence so strong that the universe itself bends in recognition. At 50, the man who surrenders will look back on half-built projects, abandoned visions, wasted decades. At 50, the man of persistence will carry triumphs built on the stones of defeat. One will have excuses. The other will have empires. Which one will you be? So break the habit of surrender. Embrace persistence. Endure defeats as steps, criticism as fuel, delay as preparation. For the man who persists cannot be denied. The man who surrenders cannot be remembered. The 7th mistake that ruins men in their decisive decades is the hollow temple, the life without an inner covenant. A man may labor, may accumulate, may achieve visible results, but if his inner temple is empty, if he never communes with his higher self, if he never establishes a covenant with infinite intelligence, his fortune crumbles at the first great storm. The poverty mindset lives outward only. It says, "I will build with my hands, I will hustle with my hours, I will climb with my strength." It trusts nothing but what can be touched, seen, or counted. But when fear rises, when defeat lingers, when conditions collapse, such a man discovers he has no anchor. His temple is hollow, and hollow walls cannot stand. Napoleon Hill declared that success demands more than intellect, more than persistence, more than action. It demands faith, the daily alignment of thought with infinite intelligence. He observed that men who achieved greatness had always established an inner contract. They spoke affirmations, they decreed their purpose, they believed in unseen forces guiding their steps. This covenant filled their temple with light and gave them strength that logic alone could not supply. Look at George Washington. Through winters of hunger, with an army weary and resources scarce, logic said surrender was inevitable. Yet Washington carried within him an unshakable covenant. He believed he was an instrument of a higher cause. This faith sustained him when reason failed. His hollow walls would have crumbled. His inner temple made him unbreakable. Think also of Abraham Lincoln. The grief of war, the weight of a divided nation, the loneliness of leadership, all of these could have destroyed him. Yet he retreated daily into meditation, prayer, and reflection. His covenant with infinite intelligence filled his hollow with substance. His aura carried a calmness that infected his weary nation. Without this inner temple, Lincoln could not have endured. Contrast them with men whose temples were hollow. Leaders who relied only on calculation, businessmen who relied only on markets, dreamers who relied only on ambition. When storms came, they collapsed. Their plans were clever, their effort intense, but their foundation was empty. A hollow temple cannot endure. Mark this law: every man builds a temple. If he fills it with faith, it becomes a fortress. If he leaves it hollow, it becomes a ruin. The antidote is daily covenant. Enter your inner court each morning before the world demands your attention. Speak your definite purpose aloud. Affirm your faith with conviction. Thank infinite intelligence for guiding your path. Visualize your aim as already achieved. In this ritual your temple is filled, your walls strengthened, your aura brightened. You emerge not merely as a man with plans, but as a man with authority. Napoleon Hill wrote of the power of autosuggestion, the repetition of affirmations that reprogram the subconscious mind. This is not empty words. It is the daily pouring of substance into your temple. Each repetition engraves belief deeper, until your subconscious becomes a partner rather than an enemy. Men without this practice drift. Men with it become unstoppable. Now speak this oath: I covenant daily with infinite intelligence. My mind is guided, my spirit is anchored, my destiny is secured. Say it until it feels natural, until silence feels incomplete without it, until your subconscious accepts it as law. At 50, the man with a hollow temple will discover his fortune was built on sand. His achievements will have slipped, his spirit weary, his influence gone. At 50, the man with a covenant will find himself calm, steady, luminous, his fortune secure, his authority respected. The first will be forgotten. The second will be immortal. So do not build outward alone. Build inward first. Fill your temple with faith, gratitude, and definite purpose. For when storms come, and they always come, it is not the hands that hold you, but the covenant within. The eighth mistake that ruins men in their decisive decades is the language of excuses. Excuses are soft words with hard consequences. They seem harmless at first, reasonable, polite, even logical, but each excuse is a chain. One link becomes another, and soon the man who speaks them is bound, his hands free for nothing greater than mediocrity. The poverty mindset speaks excuses fluently. It says, I could not because I lacked resources. I would have, but the timing was wrong. I tried, but others did not support me. It convinces the speaker that he is wise, that he is protecting himself, that he is explaining reality. But excuses do not explain reality, they create it. The man who excuses becomes the man whose life itself is an excuse. Napoleon Hill wrote with fire against this weakness. He declared that 98 out of 100 men can tell you why they have not succeeded, but only 2 can tell you how they will. The excuse makers are many. The decision makers are few. And history crowns only the few. Think of Henry Ford. In the early years, he lacked capital. His experiments failed. His ideas were ridiculed. He might have said, I cannot because I have no support. But Ford rejected excuses. Instead he said, I will, and he proved it by action. His aura radiated such determination that eventually capital found him, labor followed him, and history remembered him. Consider Abraham Lincoln. He was born in poverty, suffered repeated defeat, lacked education, faced constant criticism. He might have filled his days with excuses. But he refused. His language was not, I cannot, but, I must. He turned every reason for surrender into fuel for persistence. His aura of responsibility grew so strong that when the nation needed a leader, it turned instinctively to him. Contrast them with the countless forgotten men who had talent, education, and opportunity, yet filled their mouths with excuses. They could always explain why they had not succeeded. They could always blame conditions, fate, or others. Their explanations were clever. Their destinies were ruined. Mark this law: excuses are lies you tell your future. Every time you excuse yourself, you write failure into your destiny. Every time you refuse excuses, you engrave victory into your path. The antidote is ruthless responsibility. Refuse to let excuses leave your lips. When failure comes, own it. When resources are scarce, create them. When opposition rises, overcome it. Speak only in the language of decision and action. Train your subconscious to hear no excuses from your mouth, only commands. This habit transforms your aura, builds trust, and compels opportunity. Napoleon Hill told the story of men who succeeded with nothing, and of men who failed with everything. The difference was not conditions. It was the presence or absence of excuses. Conditions may limit action for a moment, but excuses limit destiny forever. So speak this oath: I accept no excuses. I am responsible for all outcomes. My destiny is mine to create. Say it until your tongue resists excuses, until your mind recoils from them, until your spirit feels dishonor in them. Repeat it until you feel the authority of responsibility flowing through you. At 50, the man of excuses will have clever stories, but empty hands. At 50, the man of responsibility will have fewer explanations, but greater triumphs. The first will be pitied. The second will be respected. So kill the language of excuses. Adopt the language of responsibility. Speak only of what you will do, not of why you cannot. For fortune crowns those who act, not those who explain. The ninth mistake that ruins men in their prime is the quiet bargain of trading vision for comfort. This is the exchange that feels harmless, even reasonable, yet it robs a man of his greatness more effectively than failure or defeat. The poverty mindset whispers, why strain when you are safe? Why chase vision when comfort is near? It convinces you that the soft chair is better than the sharp edge of ambition, that the steady routine is wiser than the uncertain climb, that the pleasure of today is worth more than the fortune of tomorrow. It makes surrender feel like rest and mediocrity feel like wisdom. Napoleon Hill warned of this trap. He declared that comfort is the greatest enemy of progress, for it lulls the mind into sleep while the years slip away. He wrote that fortune belongs only to those who are willing to delay gratification, who are willing to suffer the short-term discomfort of effort for the long-term crown of destiny. Think of Andrew Carnegie. Born poor, working 12-hour shifts as a boy, he had every reason to cling to small comfort. Yet he refused. He sacrificed ease for learning, risked comfort for ambition, endured hardship for vision. His willingness to trade comfort for vision lifted him from a weaver's son to the master of steel. Consider Thomas Edison. While others slept, he labored. While others indulged in pleasure, he experimented. He gave up leisure to pursue light itself. His vision demanded sacrifice, and he gave it. That is why history remembers him not as a comfortable man, but as a creator of destiny. Now contrast them with the countless men who traded vision for comfort. They had ideas, ambition, opportunities. Yet they chose ease. They chose the familiar. They chose the safe wage, the nightly indulgence, the small pleasures. Each year they told themselves there would be time later, but later never came. Their visions died quietly, smothered by comfort. Mark this law: you cannot serve both comfort and destiny. One will always devour the other. Vision demands sacrifice, and comfort resists it. The man who chooses vision may suffer for a time, but his suffering becomes strength. The man who chooses comfort enjoys ease for a moment, but his ease becomes decay. The antidote is deliberate discomfort. Train yourself to delay gratification. Choose the harder road daily. Trade leisure for labor, indulgence for discipline, comfort for vision. Each time you do, you engrave the law of destiny deeper into your soul. Napoleon Hill reminded us that wealth is not built in bursts of inspiration, but in the daily habits of sacrifice. Each morning you must ask yourself, am I choosing vision or comfort? Each evening you must answer with your results. Now speak this oath: I trade comfort for vision. I delay gratification for destiny. I sacrifice ease for greatness. Say it until comfort feels small, until vision feels natural, until sacrifice feels like honor. Repeat it until your subconscious obeys automatically, until your aura radiates determination that compels respect. At 50, the man of comfort will have memories of ease, but no legacy. At 50, the man of vision will have scars of sacrifice, but also crowns of triumph. The first will envy. The second will inspire. Which will you be? So do not trade vision for comfort. Trade comfort for vision. For the years pass quickly, and only those who sacrifice today will rule tomorrow. The 10th mistake that chains men in mediocrity is the neglect of self-education. Too many believe that once formal schooling ends, the pursuit of learning ends with it. They tell themselves they are too busy, too tired, too advanced in age. They let their minds atrophy while their bodies still labor. They forget that fortune is never given to the man who stops growing. Napoleon Hill declared that formal education may make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. This is the dividing line between those who remain servants and those who rise to mastery. The man who continues to study, to think, to sharpen his mind, multiplies his worth each year. The man who neglects it becomes dull, predictable, and replaceable. Observe the common man who finishes school and never reads another serious book, never seeks another mentor, never trains his mind. His evenings are filled with distraction, his conversations with gossip, his thoughts with repetition. He drifts because he has stopped feeding his mind with new direction. His aura dims each year until by 40, he is a shadow of the potential he once carried. Now contrast this with Henry Ford. Though mocked for his lack of formal education, he devoted himself to endless learning. He surrounded himself with thinkers, read deeply, asked questions relentlessly. His mind expanded until he could command entire industries. He proved that self-education is not optional, but essential for greatness. Think also of Abraham Lincoln. With little schooling, he taught himself law, politics, history, and rhetoric. By lamplight he read, by effort he learned, by persistence he grew. His rise from obscurity to the presidency was not the result of privilege, but of self-education. He sharpened his mind until it became a weapon sharper than any sword. Mark this truth: if you neglect to feed your mind, you starve your destiny. Wealth is not held only in banks. It is first held in ideas. If your ideas stagnate, your fortune stagnates. If your vision expands, your fortune expands with it. The poverty mindset whispers, "You already know enough." It tells you to rest on your past knowledge, to repeat your routines, to avoid the discomfort of growth. But the wealth mindset insists, "I must always learn more. I must sharpen my mind daily. I must keep pace with the times and even move ahead of them." The antidote is simple but merciless: deliberate, daily self-education. Each day, dedicate time to study, to reading, to reflection, to growth. Read the wisdom of masters. Study the patterns of wealth. Observe the failures of the drifting majority. Sharpen your thinking until it cuts through excuses and reveals opportunity. Hill urged his readers to build a library of power, not of entertainment. Fill your shelves with books that command your mind upward. Fill your hours with mentors who challenge you. Fill your life with practices that train your thoughts toward achievement. Now speak this oath: I grow each day. I feed my mind. I sharpen my vision. My education never ends. Say it until it becomes your law, until each day feels wasted without learning, until your aura radiates wisdom that men cannot ignore. At 50, the man who neglected self-education will be outdated, irrelevant, discarded. At 50, the man who pursued self-education will be indispensable, respected, sought after. The difference is not talent. It is the choice to keep learning when others stopped. So do not neglect self-education. For your fortune, your influence, your destiny depend on it. The 11th mistake that ruins men is their decision to serve fear instead of faith. Every man serves something. Either he bows before his fears, obeying their whispers, or he lifts his life upon faith, daring to act though the way is uncertain. The tragedy is that most choose fear. They obey it quietly, calling it prudence, calling it maturity, calling it common sense. But beneath those masks, it is fear that rules them. Napoleon Hill wrote plainly that fear is nothing more than a state of mind, and faith is the only force that can conquer it. The mind cannot hold both in full strength at the same time. When you allow fear to govern, faith shrinks. When you cultivate faith, fear dissolves. The choice is yours, but the consequences are immense. Look at the man who serves fear. He sees opportunity and shrinks back. He hears an inner voice whispering, "What if you fail? What if you lose? What if they laugh?" He delays. He postpones. He buries his best years in hesitation. His aura dims, his confidence erodes, his destiny slips from his grasp. By 40 he has chains, not crowns. Now look at the man who serves faith. He sees the same obstacles, but he interprets them differently. Where others see risk, he sees the chance to grow. Where others see ridicule, he sees the test of conviction. Where others see loss, he sees the seed of victory. His aura brightens because faith radiates energy, certainty, authority. By 40, doors open for him because his presence commands them. History is clear. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failures before perfecting the light bulb. If fear had ruled him, the world would remain in darkness. But faith ruled him, faith that each attempt brought him closer to success. Abraham Lincoln faced repeated defeats, yet he walked by faith in his purpose. Henry Ford faced ridicule, yet faith in his vision made him relentless. Each of these men chose faith when fear called them back. That choice changed history. You may think fear protects you, but it does not. Fear never prevents loss. It guarantees it. Each decision avoided is opportunity lost. Each delay compounds into drift. Each excuse surrenders a treasure of time that can never return. The antidote is the cultivation of faith, active and deliberate. Faith is not blind hope. Faith is certainty of purpose, conviction in action, trust in principles that never fail. You must train your mind to dwell on success, not defeat, to visualize victory, not collapse, to speak affirmation, not doubt. Say this oath with me: I serve faith, not fear. My actions are guided by vision, not hesitation. My destiny obeys my belief. Speak it daily, until fear shrinks to a shadow and faith becomes your natural master. Mark this law: every great fortune begins in faith. Carnegie built steel because he believed. Rockefeller built oil because he believed. Edison lit the world because he believed. And every drifter who surrendered to fear is forgotten, buried in excuses. Do not serve fear. Do not bow to it, do not flatter it, do not excuse it. Choose faith. Act upon it. For faith multiplies while fear consumes. The man who serves faith builds crowns. The man who serves fear builds chains. The 12th mistake that chains men to mediocrity is the neglect of definite purpose. A man without purpose drifts like a ship without a rudder. He is busy, yes, he labors, yes, he may even appear diligent. But because his effort has no fixed destination, he circles endlessly, expending energy while advancing nowhere. Napoleon Hill declared that definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Without it, nothing can be built that endures. With it, even ordinary men become extraordinary. The mind, like a magnifying glass, burns only when its light is focused. The man who ignores definite purpose scatters his force until it has no power. Look at the drifter. He tries one trade, abandons it at the first challenge. He tries another, quits again. By his 40s he has started many things and finished none. His aura radiates instability. Men sense it and withdraw their trust. Opportunities flee because opportunity loves decisiveness and despises confusion. Now look at the man of purpose. He may fail, yes, but each failure bends toward his great aim. He may struggle, yes, but his struggle builds endurance. Each act, each thought, each sacrifice aligns with his central vision. His aura grows bright with clarity. Men feel it and rally to him. Investors trust him. Allies join him. Destiny bends to him because the world respects the man who knows where he is going. History offers proof. Abraham Lincoln's purpose was to preserve the Union. Every defeat, every loss, every moment of despair bent toward that aim. That is why in the hour of crisis his presence commanded trust. Henry Ford's purpose was to bring the automobile to the masses. Though ridiculed, though resisted, though sued, he held fast to that definite vision until the world itself bent to it. Andrew Carnegie's purpose was to dominate steel. He held it so fiercely that his aura compelled men to follow him until he commanded empires. The poverty mindset ignores definite purpose. It whispers, try this, try that, move here, move there. It flatters itself as flexibility, but in truth it is weakness. It trades direction for distraction. It praises itself for motion while advancing nowhere. The wealth mindset builds life upon definite purpose. It writes it, speaks it, guards it, builds every decision upon it. It eliminates distractions that do not serve it. It channels emotion, energy, and thought toward it. It repeats daily, this is my purpose. This is my aim. This is my destiny. The antidote to this mistake is ruthless clarity. Write down your definite purpose. Define it so clearly that you cannot mistake it. Ask yourself each day whether your actions advance it or betray it. Eliminate what does not serve it. Build habits that reinforce it. Speak it until your subconscious accepts it as law. Now say this oath, I live by definite purpose. My aim is clear, my actions aligned, my destiny assured. Speak it morning and night. Repeat it until your aura radiates clarity so strong that men feel it before you speak. Mark this truth, by 50 the drifter has wasted decades. His resume is long, his achievements small, his regrets immense. By 50 the man of definite purpose has built empires, commanded trust, attracted fortune. The difference is not luck, nor talent, but the presence or absence of definite aim. Do not ignore definite purpose. For it is the compass of destiny. With it, every hour counts. Without it, every hour drifts. The choice is yours. The 13th mistake that ruins men in their prime decades is the failure to build persistence. Most men begin with enthusiasm. They start projects with excitement, speak boldly of their visions, and take the first steps with confidence. But when obstacles rise, when progress slows, when fatigue sets in, their flame flickers. They surrender. They excuse themselves. They drift back into mediocrity, never realizing that persistence is the only bridge between desire and destiny. Napoleon Hill declared that persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. Without it, strength is brittle, easily broken. With it, weakness is forged into unbreakable power. Persistence is the test of belief. Every dream will be resisted. Every vision will be challenged. The man who persists proves his worth. The man who quits reveals his doubt. Look at the drifter. At 30 he begins one venture. At the first sign of difficulty, he quits. At 35 he begins another. Again he quits. By 40 he has begun many things and finished none. His aura radiates instability. Men sense it and avoid entrusting him with responsibility. By 50 he is master only of excuses, never of achievement. Now contrast this with the man who builds persistence. He faces the same defeats, the same ridicule, the same setbacks, yet he refuses to surrender. Each obstacle becomes training. Each delay becomes preparation. His aura radiates endurance. Men feel it and trust him. Opportunity tests him, finds him worthy, and yields to him. History proves this law. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, failed in business, buried loved ones, and endured ridicule. Yet his persistence deepened with each blow. By the time the crisis of a nation arrived, his aura was unshakable. That persistence preserved a union. Henry Ford's early models failed, investors withdrew, newspapers mocked him. Yet his persistence carried him through until the world wrote his vision. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failures before light finally crowned him. Each failure taught him, each attempt advanced him, and persistence turned ridicule into reverence. The poverty mindset whispers, "This is too hard, maybe it was not meant to be." It excuses weakness with phrases like "I will try something else" or "I will return later." It builds the reflex of quitting until quitting becomes instinct. The wealth mindset insists, I persist until victory. It knows that obstacles are not signals to stop but signals to prove. It treats every defeat as temporary, every delay as preparation, every hardship as training. The antidote is the deliberate cultivation of persistence. You must practice refusing surrender in small matters until it becomes habit in great ones. Finish what you begin. Speak affirmations that engrave persistence into your subconscious. Surround yourself with allies who reinforce endurance. Guard against excuses as fiercely as against failure itself. Now speak this oath, I persist until victory is won. Delay cannot break me. Defeat cannot define me. Speak it morning and night, when obstacles rise, when fatigue presses, when excuses tempt. Speak it until your aura radiates such steadiness that men feel it and opportunity yields to it. Mark this truth, persistence is the price of crowns. The man who persists may stumble, may fall, may be delayed, but he will rise, and rise again, until destiny bows. The man who quits may begin many times, but he ends always in chains. Do not fail to build persistence. For it is the proof of faith, the seal of purpose, the path to fortune. The 14th mistake that ruins men is their refusal to form a mastermind. Many men insist on walking alone. They believe independence is strength, that isolation proves courage, that secrecy guarantees protection. Yet in truth, the lone candle flickers, while the blaze of many flames cannot be extinguished. The man who refuses to unite with others condemns himself to weakness he cannot even see. Napoleon Hill revealed that when two or more minds unite with definiteness of purpose, a new power is born. This power is not theory. It is a force greater than the sum of its parts. The mastermind multiplies ideas, courage, faith, and persistence. Alone your vision may tremble. United it shines with strength. Look at the man who insists on isolation. He labors long, but his ideas remain narrow. He struggles alone, but his strength is limited. He distrusts allies, and so he receives no counsel, no encouragement, no shared vision. His aura flickers with pride, but pride does not command fortune. It repels it. By his 40s, he is weary and small, while those who united with others build empires. Now look at the man who embraces the mastermind. He surrounds himself with men of faith, persistence, and vision. He shares his definite aim and receives multiplied power. His allies correct his errors, reinforce his courage, and expand his vision. His aura radiates harmony, and harmony attracts fortune. By his 40s, he is not only a man but the center of a force far larger than himself. History proves this law. Andrew Carnegie confessed openly that his fortune was not the work of his hands alone but of his alliances with engineers, financiers, and organizers. Without that mastermind, he would have remained obscure. With it, he commanded steel. Henry Ford, though stubborn, drew strength from his friendship with Thomas Edison. Their shared belief amplified each man's vision. Abraham Lincoln, in his darkest hours, relied upon his cabinet. Their combined wisdom carried a nation. The poverty mindset resists alliance. It whispers, you cannot trust others, you are safer alone, you have no time to build harmony. These excuses lead to weakness, not strength. The wealth mindset embraces the mastermind. It chooses allies carefully, guards harmony fiercely, and multiplies power through unity. The antidote is deliberate alliance. Seek out men who share faith and purpose. Meet with them often. Exchange ideas. Encourage each other. Hold each other accountable. Build harmony as fiercely as you guard your own vision. For one discordant voice can poison the whole, but one true ally can multiply your force tenfold. Now speak this oath, I unite with chosen allies. Together, our radiance bends events. Speak it until your pride yields and your fear dissolves. Speak it until your aura radiates harmony so strongly that men feel it and doors open before you. Mark this truth, the man who builds alone may shine briefly, but the storm will extinguish him. The man who builds with a mastermind cannot be extinguished, for his force is multiplied. Do not refuse the mastermind. For without it, your destiny remains small. With it, your destiny commands empires. The 13th mistake that ruins men in their prime decades is the failure to build persistence. Most men begin with enthusiasm. They start projects with excitement, speak boldly of their visions, and take the first steps with confidence. But when obstacles rise, when progress slows, when fatigue sets in, their flame flickers. They surrender. They excuse themselves. They drift back into mediocrity, never realizing that persistence is the only bridge between desire and destiny. Napoleon Hill declared that persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. Without it, strength is brittle, easily broken. With it, weakness is forged into unbreakable power. Persistence is the test of belief. Every dream will be resisted. Every vision will be challenged. The man who persists proves his worth. The man who quits reveals his doubt. Look at the drifter. At 30 he begins one venture. At the first sign of difficulty, he quits. At 35 he begins another. Again he quits. By 40 he has begun many things and finished none. His aura radiates instability. Men sense it and avoid entrusting him with responsibility. By 50 he is master only of excuses, never of achievement. Now contrast this with the man who builds persistence. He faces the same defeats, the same ridicule, the same setbacks, yet he refuses to surrender. Each obstacle becomes training. Each delay becomes preparation. His aura radiates endurance. Men feel it and trust him. Opportunity tests him, finds him worthy, and yields to him. History proves this law. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, failed in business, buried loved ones, and endured ridicule. Yet his persistence deepened with each blow. By the time the crisis of a nation arrived, his aura was unshakable. That persistence preserved a union. Henry Ford's early models failed, investors withdrew, newspapers mocked him. Yet his persistence carried him through until the world wrote his vision. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failures before light finally crowned him. Each failure taught him, each attempt advanced him, and persistence turned ridicule into reverence. The poverty mindset whispers, "This is too hard, maybe it was not meant to be." It excuses weakness with phrases like "I will try something else" or "I will return later." It builds the reflex of quitting until quitting becomes instinct. The wealth mindset insists, "I persist until victory." It knows that obstacles are not signals to stop but signals to prove. It treats every defeat as temporary, every delay as preparation, every hardship as training. The antidote is the deliberate cultivation of persistence. You must practice refusing surrender in small matters until it becomes habit in great ones. Finish what you begin. Speak affirmations that engrave persistence into your subconscious. Surround yourself with allies who reinforce endurance. Guard against excuses as fiercely as against failure itself. Now speak this oath: I persist until victory is won. Delay cannot break me. Defeat cannot define me. Speak it morning and night, when obstacles rise, when fatigue presses, when excuses tempt. Speak it until your aura radiates such steadiness that men feel it and opportunity yields to it. Mark this truth: persistence is the price of crowns. The man who persists may stumble, may fall, may be delayed, but he will rise, and rise again, until destiny bows. The man who quits may begin many times, but he ends always in chains. Do not fail to build persistence. For it is the proof of faith, the seal of purpose, the path to fortune. The 14th mistake that ruins men is their refusal to form a mastermind. Many men insist on walking alone. They believe independence is strength, that isolation proves courage, that secrecy guarantees protection. Yet in truth, the lone candle flickers, while the blaze of many flames cannot be extinguished. The man who refuses to unite with others condemns himself to weakness he cannot even see. Napoleon Hill revealed that when two or more minds unite with definiteness of purpose, a new power is born. This power is not theory. It is a force greater than the sum of its parts. The mastermind multiplies ideas, courage, faith, and persistence. Alone your vision may tremble. United it shines with strength. Look at the man who insists on isolation. He labors long, but his ideas remain narrow. He struggles alone, but his strength is limited. He distrusts allies, and so he receives no counsel, no encouragement, no shared vision. His aura flickers with pride, but pride does not command fortune. It repels it. By his 40s, he is weary and small, while those who united with others build empires. Now look at the man who embraces the mastermind. He surrounds himself with men of faith, persistence, and vision. He shares his definite aim and receives multiplied power. His allies correct his errors, reinforce his courage, and expand his vision. His aura radiates harmony, and harmony attracts fortune. By his 40s, he is not only a man but the center of a force far larger than himself. History proves this law. Andrew Carnegie confessed openly that his fortune was not the work of his hands alone but of his alliances with engineers, financiers, and organizers. Without that mastermind, he would have remained obscure. With it, he commanded steel. Henry Ford, though stubborn, drew strength from his friendship with Thomas Edison. Their shared belief amplified each man's vision. Abraham Lincoln, in his darkest hours, relied upon his cabinet. Their combined wisdom carried a nation. The poverty mindset resists alliance. It whispers, you cannot trust others, you are safer alone, you have no time to build harmony. These excuses lead to weakness, not strength. The wealth mindset embraces the mastermind. It chooses allies carefully, guards harmony fiercely, and multiplies power through unity. The antidote is deliberate alliance. Seek out men who share faith and purpose. Meet with them often. Exchange ideas. Encourage each other. Hold each other accountable. Build harmony as fiercely as you guard your own vision. For one discordant voice can poison the whole, but one true ally can multiply your force tenfold. Now speak this oath, I unite with chosen allies. Together, our radiance bends events. Speak it until your pride yields and your fear dissolves. Speak it until your aura radiates harmony so strongly that men feel it and doors open before you. Mark this truth, the man who builds alone may shine briefly, but the storm will extinguish him. The man who builds with a mastermind cannot be extinguished, for his force is multiplied. Do not refuse the mastermind. For without it, your destiny remains small. With it, your destiny commands empires. You have now seen the mistakes that ruin men. They are not loud failures. They are quiet habits, subtle thieves, whispered excuses. They do not strike in one day. They corrode over years. And when the bill comes due in your 40s or 50s, it is too late to pay. That is why Napoleon Hill warned so fiercely that the decades of 30 and 40 are decisive. They are the fulcrum of destiny. They will either crown you with authority or chain you with mediocrity. Consider what you have learned. The mask of prudence, fear disguised as wisdom, must be torn away. The chains of wages, serving only for pay, must be broken by sowing more than you reap. The tyranny of busyness must be shattered by definite aim. The fire of passion must be transmuted into force for purpose. The lone candle of isolation must be multiplied by a mastermind. The habit of surrender must be conquered by persistence. The hollow temple must be filled with faith and covenant. The neglect of self-education must be replaced by daily growth. The service of fear must be replaced by faith. The drift without purpose must be replaced by definiteness of aim. These are not options. They are laws. Ignore them and you will drift. Obey them and you will rise. History has crowned the men who practiced them. Lincoln was obscure in his youth but built persistence, purpose, and faith until his aura commanded a nation. Carnegie began poor but built alliances and definite purpose until steel bent to his will. Edison failed thousands of times but transmuted passion into invention until the world lit his lamp. Ford faced ridicule but chose decision over fear until the world wrote his vision. Rockefeller, Booker T. Washington, Charles Schwab, all proved these laws. And consider also the thousands forgotten. They worked as hard, they lived as long, they were just as intelligent. But they wore the mask of prudence, served only wages, drifted in busyness, wasted passion in indulgence, refused alliances, surrendered at defeat, neglected their temple. They are remembered only as examples of wasted potential. Now the question stands before you: which path will you choose? You cannot drift and hope to arrive. You cannot excuse and hope to advance. You cannot postpone and hope to seize later. Later does not exist. Only now exists. Speak these affirmations with me as the seal of your choice. I do not confuse fear with wisdom. I serve purpose, not wages. I measure by progress, not busyness. I turn fire into force. I unite with allies in harmony. I persist until victory. I covenant with infinite intelligence. I grow daily through self-education. I serve faith, not fear. I live by definite purpose. Repeat them morning and night. Write them. Engrave them. For each repetition brightens your aura, strengthens your persistence, sharpens your vision, and multiplies your destiny. Mark this truth: if by your 40s you have not broken these mistakes, the chains will tighten. By 50 they may be unbreakable. But if by your 30s and 40s you seize these antidotes, your 50s and 60s will be crowned with abundance, respect, and influence. The decades decide everything. They are the years of power, the years of decision, the years of destiny. Drift in them and you pay with your life. Master them and you live as a man crowned. Now choose. Now act. Now persist. The reckoning is near, and the crown is waiting.